Hi, Michelle from Birdcage and Thread here with a video tutorial on the Easy Wonder Clip Bowl. There are links in the description box below where you can buy the pattern through either Craftsy or Etsy. I designed this bowl to hold a packet of 50 regular size wonder clips, but it can hold a few more than that. And it's also great to hold coins, small children's toys such as Shopkins or Lego, hair ties, bobby pins, small electronics such as earbuds, SD cards or USB drives, and you can even use it as a first aid kit. The pattern can also be enlarged or reduced to whatever size you want. You're only limited by the length of your zipper. The bowl only requires a small amount of fabric and it's a great stash buster project. So get your supplies ready and let's get started. Now start by cutting out the pattern pieces. This is my outer and this is the lining, and the outer has interfacing fused to it. And you have a standard dress zipper that's at least 18 inches long. It can be longer, we'll just cut it down later on. There are alternate instructions in the pattern if you want to use a shorter zipper, but it's easier to use at least an 18-inch long zipper. So we're going to start by moving the zipper pull out the way, trimming those metal ends off, and also at the other end trim the metal end off that as well. Then take the zipper pull off and just put the other side of the zipper away for now, and we'll just be using one side of the zipper. Next, take both piece A's, the outer and the lining, and clip into the seam allowance along this inner arc along both pieces. I've started here, I've made slits all the way along to about here, and about every ½ inch or so clip into the seam allowance. Now just make sure you don't clip more than 1/4 inch into the seam allowance, and then repeat that on the lining piece as well. Next we're going to baste the zipper to the lining piece A. So take lining piece A and place it right side up. Also place the zipper tape right side up so the teeth are facing upwards, and then line up the edge of the zipper tape with the raw edge of piece A, and then either using wonder clips or pins hold that in place along the edge there. Then using your zipper foot, baste within the 1/4 inch seam allowance closer to the zipper tape edge along here. And when you baste the zipper to the lining piece, make sure there's a little bit of excess zipper overhanging the edge. With a shorter zip you might only get ½ inch or so, but as long as there's something, because you'll need to reattach the zipper pull. Now that the zipper's basted to the lining, we're going to place the outer piece A right sides down so that the lining piece A and the outer piece A are right sides together. And then pin or clip that in place. It's easiest to start with the ends. So that they're in place, and then work your way around. You can start at the center and work your way around so it's all even. And then using your zipper foot again and a 1/4 inch seam allowance, sew around the outside so those 3 layers get sewn together. So now that we've got this seam sewn here, we turn both pieces out and then press them away from the zipper, but don't top stitch at this stage. Now just as a tip, if you're sewing this top piece on and your presser foot pushes the fabric and you end up with excess fabric at the end here, just trim the excess off so it meets the lining. It won't affect the when you sew piece B, as the fabric has enough flex in it to deal with that. So once again, if your machine pushes this fabric along and you end up with excess, just trim in line with the lining, and it should be okay. So now we'll go to the iron and press both those pieces away from the zipper. So now that we've pressed both sides back from the zipper, we're going to fold it in half. Doesn't matter which way, whether it's outed together or lining together. Then just trim the end of the zipper that's overhanging. Don't trim to the edge here, just trim to the smallest side of the zipper tape. Now the ends of the zipper tape are even, flip it over so that the lining is facing up. Then bring the zipper tape ends together like that. Now, making sure that the zipper ends are even, we're going to reattach the zipper pull. So take the widest end of the zipper pull and place one side into the pull, but don't let it click yet, just slot it in there till you can't move it anymore without it clicking. So basically it's just sitting there. Then I'm pinching the zipper teeth together, and from this end I'm just going to push the end, and I heard a click. So I'm pretty confident that the zipper pull is on, and also the zipper pull end is in line with the zipper tape cut there. Then I'm going to place a finger either side on the zipper tape and just pull the zipper pull up and close the zipper. Then we're going to pull the layers apart. Then we're going to line up the short ends. When you do this, line up, push the zipper so that it's down in the lining, and the lining is facing up here. So as you can see here, that the two outer pieces are facing each other, or the folds there are together, and the lining pieces and the raw edges are facing this way, and the zipper is down in the lining. Then, using your regular foot and using a 1/4 inch seam allowance, so down here until you get to this stitching line, then pivot and keep going down the outer. Now that that seam has been sewn along there, we're going to trim the zipper in line with the raw edge. Then the next step is to open the zipper, and this is important, otherwise you're going to have all sorts of trouble later on. So just make sure now that you've done that. Next, take 2 of the piece B lining and place one right side up. With the other piece, fold it in half wrong sides together and press. Open it out and place that folded piece on top of the other one so that right sides are together. Then sew along the crease line about 1 inch, break the stitching and continue with another inch on the other end of the crease line. Make sure to stitch back stitch both at the beginning and the end of each of those 1 inch lines. Now that you have that sewn together, take the left side of that piece that has the crease in it and fold that over like that. Then flip the whole thing over and take the right side, just one of the layers, and fold that over like that, and take that to your iron and press, and now you should have a finished gap in the centre of that circle. Now take the outer piece B and find the 1/4 points on the circle. So do this by folding it in half and place a pin either end of that fold, then repeat the other way. Place those 2 pins together and then place a pin on each end of that fold to find the 1/4 marks of that circle. Then we're going to do the same for the outer piece of this, the piece A's. So that can be our one mark, and so it's all even along there, and that will be the other end. Then place the pin and the seam together. That'll be another point, and the other end place another pin. So you should have 4 even points around each piece. Then you can add piece B to piece A, right sides together, firstly lining up all those quarter points. You can either use pins or clips to secure those in place. Then continue on with a couple of clips or pins in between those quarter marks. And it's easiest to put piece A on the top and piece B on the bottom. And this is the way you'll feed it into your machine, so that this piece will be on the top and this piece will be on the bed of your machine. So that's what it looks like after it's been sewn. When you're sewing around like this, keep readjusting this top piece A under your presser foot, or not under your presser foot, but just sew a little bit, then stop, then readjust this top piece, and that's how you get around without any little creases in this top piece here. Then we're going to repeat the same thing to attach the bottom or the lining piece A to piece B. So I have the lining pieces quartered. With this bottom section here, there's no need to do these half marks because you've got the seam to guide you as 2 points there. So just meet those 2 seams there, and that will give you the other quarters. So then I'm just going to attach this the same way. It doesn't matter which way you put this up because both technically are right sides. So place right sides together, and then just as you did before, either pin or use Wonder Clips to go around the edge, lining up the quarter marks first and then in between. Now that you have the lining sewn and the outer sewn, we'll turn it right sides out through this hole here. Now just when you're sewing around here, try to keep a 1/4 inch seam allowance, but if you go over or under, it doesn't really matter. As you can see, mine's not completely even all around. It doesn't matter. The thing you need to pay attention to is that you stay within these clip marks here. If you go on the other side of the clip mark, you're going to have a hole on the outside of your bowl, which you don't want. So now we'll turn it right side out. Because the zipper's open, it will turn nicely. Just double check at this point that you don't have any holes around here. If you do, you can turn it back the other way and re-sew over where that hole is. Then all that's left to do is to push this zipper end out. So just take your finger inside the hole and feel where the end of the zipper is and just give it a push. And that makes it sit a bit nicer. Then you can either hand stitch or machine stitch along this edge here to close that up. If you're using the machine, just use a very small seam allowance and just catch both edges in there like that. And give it another press, and when you press it, push the iron in towards the middle like that. And that will just even out the lining a little bit better. Now the last step is optional, and that's to top stitch around the edge. Now what I do on my machine, I don't have a free arm, so I turn it so that the lining is facing out, and then I start about here, flatten it out on my machine and top stitch all the way around, making sure that both the lining and the outer are being caught and nothing's pulled up like this or anything like that as you're going around. So just take your time, and so you can either start and end either side of the zipper, or I flatten it out as much as I can and just go around that zipper there, but it's totally optional. You could just start and end, I'd say probably 3/4 of an inch either side of the zipper pull, or you can go over or leave the top stitching out altogether. It's totally up to you. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and thanks for watching.